Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight for our Village of Alsip board meeting. Today is November 6, 2023, and we'll call this meeting to order at 7:30 p.m. Can you call the roll, please?
Trustee Dalzell?
Here.
Trustee Juarez Mendoza is absent. Trustee McLaughlin? Here. Trustee Murphy?
Here.
Trustee Nava Esparza? Here. Trustee Paretta?
Here.
Mayor Ryan?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get started, thank you to all the students, obviously, that are in the house tonight. We actually do YouTube all these meetings. Camera faces on us, not you folks. You guys look great. Everybody's good. But did everybody get an agenda? Because you're going to need those when you go back to class. If not, the young lady has them at the window in the hallway there. If you need them, go ahead and go grab one out there. And right at the window, she should have more of those. So, thank you. We'll start off with our reports this evening, starting with mine. Just want to let the board know that next week, Monday, we're going to be talking with our health care provider, broker, about next year's insurance renewal. So Trustee Murphy is the chair of insurance. I'll be sure, tentatively right now, what we were thinking about doing is having the three unions, police, fire, and AFSCME sit in on a meeting as well, too, like at 6:30 p.m. If you can sit in front and have your committee participate as well, or anybody that wishes to is always welcome to. Mm-hmm. And we'll talk about the next year's health care insurance. Okay?
Sounds good.
First on your agendas this evening was the approval of the appointment of Alsip President Jonathan Torres as a commissioner of the Planning and Zoning Commission to fill a vacancy left by Stan Graycheck, who recently retired. And number two on my report this evening was approval. I'm asking for approval of the appointment of Planning and Zoning Commissioner John Gallagher to the position of Vice Chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission as well. John is obviously currently a commissioner on the board right now, I believe since like 2017. And that's all I had this evening. Next, we'll go to our clerk's report. Clerk Harding.
Thank you, Mayor. I have the approval of the October 16th, 2023 board meeting minutes, approval of the September 2023 IDOT motor fuel allotment in the amount of $75,040.24, and the presentation and approval of the October 30th, 2023 committee meeting minutes. And that is all I had, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Next, we have the attorney's report. We have Mike Kankar with us. Mike?
No report, sir.
Okay. And then for our engineer's report, I spoke to the engineer. Mike, you're going to do his report for us?
Okay. So, Jeff, I just wanted to provide some updates. The Safe Route to Schools program, pre-final engineering plans are being submitted to IDOT this week for IDOT review. The 115th and 118th place water main project, water main work and restoration is substantially completed, and punch list items remain. The 2024 MFT resurfacing deconstruction is working on storm sewer and culverts at 116th and Springfield area, which they began today. Then storm sewer repairs in the Lombard area. They intend to start paving later this week or next week, depending upon weather. And then the 2024 MFT crack sealing, Dunleer is actually going to begin. I just got an email tonight. They're going to be starting tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Expect to be done by Thursday.
Where's that at, Mike?
They're going to be crack sealing in the Prairie View subdivision.
Okay.
Laramie Avenue between 119th and 117th. And then Menard and Austin Avenue between 127th to Route 83.
Okay. And again, just so everybody understands, crack sealing, we try to obviously get a little more longevity out of the streets. Wherever you go down the street, you see the tar that's into the cracks on the street. We try and get a little more life out of the street when we do that. Mike, the safe routes to school, we had to agree then finally, this is going to stay on Costner Avenue, right?
Correct.
All right, so Safe Routes to School, we did get a grant for,
$200,000.
how much?
$200,000.
$200,000. And Safe Routes to School grants mean that you need to obviously identify with sidewalks that will meet a school. So it's a Safe Route to School. In this case, we're going to put one on the west side of Costner Avenue between 119th and 119th Place, right?
119th place up to the school.
Up to the school. And then the rest of it is going to be on the west side of town, correct?
Correct, by
Right.
Hazel Green.
Right, so we're going to start at 115th and LeClaire, come northbound. We're going to do fill-ins. Some homes have sidewalks, some don't, depending on whenever your house was built. So we're going to start at 115th and LeClaire, come southbound to 117th, turn east, and it'll go up way to Laverne, right?
Correct.
Okay, so right at Hazel Green School, so these will be fill-ins to touch a school again then, too.
Yes.
And the reason we had to do it on Costner was we couldn't get easement rights on the south side of the street, but more importantly, too, is the church just put up gates, which means you could, but you're not supposed to cut through their parking lot, per se.
Correct.
So we need a sidewalk to get you southbound, to get where the bike racks are at and everything else then, too, right?
Correct.
Or at least those kids that are south, the kids south of the school
Yeah.
can get north,
They can
where
get
the
over
crossing
the
guard's
crossing
at.
guard.
Gotcha. At 119th and Costner.
Correct.
Okay. Mike, I did talk to our engineer on Friday, too. When it comes to the televising of the sewers on Lombard Street, he said you found most of the obstructions that are in there, but do we need to do any, he said we're going to possibly introduce some more storm drain?
Right, so we're looking to install 3 structures or manholes that will be in front of Quincy Recycling, so along Lombard Avenue there. Mostly it's going to be to provide us access points so that we can get in there and clean that line on a regular basis, because the way it stands now, there's really no access to it. And that line, we found a lot of debris from when the crews got in there to do the televising and cleaning. So this will be able to allow us to get in there and better suit that for keeping the line clear.
So just so the board, and
And it's going to take some years to come up with a comprehensive program to upgrade that, but for right now, we'll definitely make improvements to the drainage in that area.
all right, and last one was, I know Chief Stasinski, you're over on 115th Place. How are we looking with blacktop remediation and all that after the,
Great. They did a wonderful job. It's
Yeah.
nice. They're all pretty much done. All the seeds down, everything's remediated. All the hydrants are facing the right way, so
okay,
I think they finished up last week by us.
very good. I sent them a big grocery list of stuff to get rid of. I mean, we had piles of stone out in the street forever, porta potties in front of people's lawns, and all that. I mean, get all that out of there at some point.
There's
too.
nothing left on 115th Place anymore.
Okay, thanks, Chief. Mike, anything else for the
Oh,
engineer?
that's it.
Okay, thank you. We've reached the public forum portion of our meeting. Did anyone in the audience wish to address the board tonight? Ma'am, go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Tina Michael. These are some ladies that live in my building with me. Initially, I'm new to the Heritage 2 complex. I haven't been there quite a year. But when I filled out the application and I specifically asked if it was a smoke-free building,
Mhm.
I was told that it was.
Okay,
And the reason it was an issue for me is I owned a condo in Tinley Park that basically burned down because of somebody smoking in the building. So we were displaced for over a year while they renovated. Anyway, that was my issue. So I was misinformed because, in fact, there were 2 people that smoke in our building. And I believe, Dolores, you were misinformed initially, too, about that. So,
you don't, ma'am, can I ask you to speak out, because we're recording this, thank you.
This was 8.5 years ago. I was told that the entire complex was smoke-free.
Right,
And then later, a year later, I found out that that wasn't so.
So what we're trying to say is, I mean, it's unrealistic to have people not smoke, but we would like to know what the process would be to have people not smoke in their rooms. Like, can they go out on the balcony, can they go to the gazebo? Because the smoking in the unit is a safety issue,
Yeah.
and also it's excessive, unfortunately, with the two people that smoke in our county.
Understood.
Not to single anyone out, but is there a way to petition to have it smoke-free?
Yeah, I believe they're all smoke-free buildings. I believe everybody has to step out, whatever it is, 30 feet from the building to
Well,
smoke.
I was under that assumption.
Yeah.
But then when I called the office and asked Kathy, she told me, oh, no, we only have certain buildings that are smoke-free. And she named off these addresses. And I said, well, that's not what you told me initially, because, of course, I have an issue with it because of what I went through. And so, anyway, what is the rule? What is...
You know what, Ms. Michaels, I'll speak with the management team over there tomorrow, but I was always of the impression you had to step away from the building. I know we have a couple of designated dog buildings over there, pet buildings, I should say. You have three, dog or cat. And, but the smoking part, as far as I can recall, this is the first time anybody, really, I've been here 6 years, this is one of the first times people have come forth like yourself with an issue on this, so I'm happy to take care of it. And just so everybody knows, too, the village owns 31 buildings for folks 55 and older over on the east side of the Pulaski. And that's what they're referring to. You folks are at a Heritage 2, that's on 123rd and like Hamlin, more or less. And now, I'll talk to management tomorrow. Trustee McLaurin, you're the chair over there. Can you recall the rule off the top of your
I
head?
thought there was designated buildings.
Smoking?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. I'll double check. But
Well, if that's the case, we would like to know what the process would be to petition to have smoke-free units. I mean, people are going to smoke,
sure.
but it would be nice if they didn't smoke in units.
All right.
Like I said, I mean, the only smoking of any kind, I mean, should only be in those designated buildings. I mean, offhand, I don't know what they are, but,
Yeah, well, again, I was told that my building was smoke-free when I signed the lease, and it turns out it wasn't, which is fine, but it would be nice if there was some sort of...
Yeah. Tina, do me a favor. We always ask folks that speak to us to sign in on this board right here. Leave your phone number, too, please, and I'll give you a call back tomorrow.
So anyway, these ladies are in my building.
Sure.
I'm just thinking that, it would be really good if the whole complex was smoke-free, because
I
that's
agree.
what I was told
Yeah.
when I first, eight and a half years ago. And I didn't know that there were designated buildings until the next year when I was renewing my lease.
I tell you, funny thing, we're even talking about this. I was with some friends over the weekend, they had condominium folks, and even this condominium complex they're at, they don't allow that either. And these are their homes. I mean, they're not renting or anything, but their homeowner association established that, and that's what they ran with and stuff then, too. So I really can't go back on anything that we may have pre-promised, and I'm sorry I don't have a rule book here with me on those complexes, but let me look into it. I'll get back with Ms. Michaels tomorrow, okay? Sure. Anybody else want to talk to the board tonight? No? All right, thank you. We'll go on to our standing committee reports. Start with Finance and IT. Trustee McGlowan.
thank you, Mayor. First, I have a request for approval of a list of payroll dated November 3rd, 2023, totaling $476,504.54. Next, I have a request for approval of a list of accounts payable dated November 6th, 2023. From the recap, General Fund, $276,999.77. Road and Bridge, $126,512.53. Storm Sewer, $574.80. MFT, $241,435.06. Liability and Workers' Comp Insurance, $63,313.88. Health Insurance, $1,122.68. Water and Sewer, $37,982.76. Sanitary Sewers, $4,808.58. Heritage Complexes, $43,840.43. IPRF grant expense, $26,548 even. And retiree health insurance, $49,381.80, for a grand total all funds of $872,520.29. And that's all I have this evening, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Give me one second. I'll just make a note here. Okay, thanks. Next, we'll go to the Fire Committee report. Trustee Murphy.
I have the approval of an ordinance amending Chapter 9 Fire Prevention and Protection, Article 4 Hazardous Material Discharge, Sections 9 through 61, definitions of the municipal code of the Village of Alsip. Next, I have a request to approve holiday pay in the amount of $67,056.90 as per the collective bargaining contract. Next, I have the request to approve pay the first half of shift commander and assistant shift in the amount of $4,125.
Batteries. More and more, you're seeing EV batteries now and stuff like that, so we're putting more provisions in place to make the industry and make everybody safe, let's put it that way, and those with regard to the batteries. Next, we have the Police and Traffic Safety Report. Trustee Dalzell.
We have the approval to hire 2 additional officers for the January Academy. Chief had passed out a thing for the staffing, and if that is approved, we'll have to have the attorney update Section 16-58, increase the officers from 31 to 33. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Is that a contract thing then, too, or this is just a temporary?
It's just to sit there and float while they're in training.
Right.
And then we'll amend that ordinance back down.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Next, we have the Public Work and Boat Launch Committee.
I have the approval of the Public Works September 2023 monthly activity report.
Thank you.
And number 2 merits also part of planning and zoning, so we'll just push that over to planning and zoning, the reading of that.
Oh,
Okay.
it's duplicated.
We'll go, all right. No problem. So that was just number 2 is for planning and zoning?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Next, we have the Sewer and Water Report. Trustee Navas Esparza.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no items to be voted on this evening.
Okay. Building and Health. Trustee Parada.
No report this evening, Mayor.
All right. Human Resource and Insurance. Trustee Murphy.
No report tonight, Mayor, but I will have an update next week on the harassment training, that make sure that everyone is up to snuff on that. That's
Okay.
all I have.
All right. We'll go to special committee reports, starting with Economic Development. Trustee Navas Esparza.
Thank you, Mayor. The report that I have this evening is that, wow, we're in November, almost the end of the year, but also November kicks off the holiday season. Several small businesses are still recovering from the pandemic, and Small Business Saturday, which is on November 25th, is an initiative that a lot of local communities and Chamber of Commerce's are promoting to promote shopping local and also to have an impact in the local economy. So a lot of focus is on recruitment of new businesses, but we can't forget our existing businesses in town. So hopefully you're able to support several businesses on the Pulaski corridor, whether they're grocery stores.
This work, I know they just put in a sneeze guard around everything. He's got a few items to finish up, but they think they might be open in a couple of weeks. So
What?
finally coming down the wire with that.
Yeah, I have
And-
residents ask me all the time, and I just say it to be determined for an
Yeah.
open-end date.
No, I'm really hoping that Matt gets that open pretty quick and stuff yet, too. It's been a long time coming. All right, thank you. So we'll go to Village Properties. Trustee McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a request for approval for advertising for an RFP seeking qualified contractors to replace the roof on the Public Works garage.
You know what, too? I apologize, it didn't make it onto the agenda, but
And also the
the pumping station at 117th and Cadvale, too. And that is in the RFP right now.
As I say, I remember it in the write-up.
Right. Very good. Anything else?
That's all I have.
Okay. Ordinance and legislation, Trustee Parada.
Thank you, Mayor. No report this evening.
Okay. Then we'll go to Planning and Zoning and Licenses Committee.
Okay, first I have a request for approval of a list of licenses dated October 9th, 2023 through October 27th of 2023. And next, I have a request for approval of a resolution authorizing an intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Alsip and the County of Cook relative to participation in the 2023 Invest in Cook program for a planning study for pedestrian and cycling mobility improvements. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. And again, for the benefit of all the students who we have in the room, what this really breaks down to is we were fortunate to qualify for a couple of grants, and what I've been pursuing for some time. I was down in Springfield earlier this year yet too, but we have a very densely populated community here, and for the most part, there's plenty of sidewalks, but then there's not on some of the main streets over on, let's say, like 119th and Pulaski going eastbound to like the Heritage One apartments. There's no sidewalks over there. When you go along 115th Street from Pulaski all the way to Ridgeland Avenue where the electrician school is at, there's no sidewalk. And literally, there are people walking in the streets, pulling suitcases to get to Cicero, to get on a bus to take to the airport to save a few bucks, and they're going to get hit by a car at some point. So I'm pushing for more safe passage. I'm looking for sidewalks, possibly more bicycle paths if we can do that kind of thing too for cyclists. And at the same time, I want to promote something, because we had like a $60,000 grant, and you need this whole study plan to give to all what's known as non-jurisdictional properties, it's government agencies. Like the state owns most of the big roads around here. The county owns one or two. And then even when you get to 115th Street by Marist High School, that's the city of Chicago, too. So you have to get a mediator to get involved with all these folks in order to make more expansion, make the roads wider, put in some curb and gutter. There's a lot of work that takes place. And the last thing I'll say, too, is when you talk about safe passage, is even the sidewalks that go over the bridges on Cicero and Pulaski, they're horrible, and we got to do something or they should do something where they can at least put on a guardrail to keep you safe. So you're inches from cars, shooting down Pulaski and Cicero Avenue, and they're just not really great walkable areas. So I want to try and do more. The board is very supportive of this too, but we're identifying areas that we know will make this a safer place to function. We're in a very densely populated community, like I said, and we need to have more opportunities to get around without having to use a car everywhere you go. So thank you, board, for understanding. And again, I want to there's a lot of words there, folks. That's why I want to let everybody understand what we're looking at. Next, does anyone have any presentations, petitions, or communications they wanted to share? I had two things. Two were, one was I'm working with finance right now on our tax levy coming up. And trustees, please speak with your department heads if there's anything that didn't or just recently made the budget that might not have been accounted for in our previously approved budget. Please speak with them about that. And then also this coming Saturday is Veterans Day, and that's November 11th, and we celebrate Veterans Day on the 11th month, the 11th day at the 11th hour every year. So anyone who wishes to join us, we will be at the Veterans Plaza that the village owns. It's a green space at 118th and Pulaski at 11 a.m. on Saturday morning. And police and fire chiefs, if you would please, if you have your duty crews come out, we'd greatly appreciate it. I believe every year, too, we've got a trumpeter from Shepherd High School who's good enough to come out and play trumpet for us every year, too. So thank you to all of them. Trustees, did anybody want to remove anything from the consent agenda?
I would like to remove letter L, Mayor.
L. Okay. Anybody else? All right. Can I get a motion then to establish the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Before I do that, there's item H, I'm sorry, not item H, N and Q that are both about
They're the
a
same
resolution. Are we taking away,
Strike N.
take N out?
Yeah.
Do we have to update the text for item O to include the pump station?
Thank you. Yes. The public work garage and village pump station.
I think I put that on the minutes from last week, but I'll update it on this. Okay, roll call number 1 to establish consent agenda. Trustee Dalzell?
Yes.
Trustee Juarez Mendoza is absent. Trustee McGlawhorn?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Navas Barza?
Yes.
Trustee Peretta?
Yes.
Motion carries to establish consent agenda.
Thank you. Can I get a motion then to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, item H, approval of an ordinance amending Chapter 9, Fire Prevention and Protection, Article 4, Hazardous Material Discharge, Section 9 through 61, definitions of the municipal code of the Village of Alsip will now be known as Ordinance 2023-11-1. And item Q, approval of a resolution authorizing an intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Alsip and the County of Cook relative to participation in the 2023 Invest in Cook program for a planning study for pedestrian and cycling mobility improvements will now be known as Resolution 2023-11-R-1. Roll call number 2 to approve consent agenda. Trustee Dalzell?
Yes.
Trustee Juarez Mendoza is absent. Trustee McGlawhorn?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Navas Barza?
Yes.
Trustee Peretta?
Yes.
Motion carries to approve consent agenda.
All right, thank you. We'll go back to letter L that was removed. This was the approval of Marchione Electric to replace the overhead lights in the apparatus bays in both, it'd be fire stations, for a cost of $28,070. Marchione was the lowest bid received on October 30th. This project's been budgeted for. Before we take any questions, did I have a motion and a second to approve this the way it's written?
On motion.
Second.
Thank you. Trustee McGlawhorn, you had a question on this?
No, not a question, Mayor. Just in particular, and based on our discussions last week and talking about, we've got a number of big-ticket items that have been missed from the budget, and we're talking about, getting together a capital project list and trying to figure out how we're going to fund these within the budget. So when it comes to doing optional projects, I just think that we need to hold off until we get a better picture of the expenses that we need to account for.
Okay. No, I understand what you're saying. I know there's been a couple of, Chief, you had said too, there's a couple of big
We
things.
have
that
the
kinda
pumper
came up.
truck that
Yeah.
that needs repairs now, and again, we don't know the dollar amount of this very expensive roof in the Public Works building, and again, we know we've already missed some other items within the budget itself, and I think we need to make sure we've got our funding in place before we start tackling other big projects.
Understood. Anybody else? All right. Can you call the roll, please?
Roll call number 3 to approve item L. Trustee Dalzell?
Yes.
Trustee Juarez Mendoza is absent. Trustee McGlawhorn?
No.
Trustee Murphy?
No.
Trustee Navas Barza?
Yes.
Trustee Peretta?
No.
Motion fails to carry for item L with a vote of 3-2. Sorry.
All right. Anyone have any unfinished business? Any new business? Mike, very quickly, just while I'm thinking of it too, and I did make a small list for finance regarding the tax levy and all that, items that may or may not have been missed. Did you still have to replace that backup generator that we talked about down at the Public Works, or did you do that yet?
No, we still need to replace that.
Yeah. Please put that, in other words, send something to your chairperson to let them know that we're going to be talking about all this next week. If that's the case, we want to make sure that gets in there. Because you don't have any backup power in the event of an emergency, right?
Nothing at this time.
That's what I'm saying. Okay. Thank you.
Don't you have portable generators for lift stations or anything like that?
Yeah, and we are currently trying to work with a contractor to make some sort of whip or something that we
Right.
could connect to that to give us some temporary power.
Right,
in the
because
event that
also through
something goes out.
DHS, they have generators on trailers
Mhm.
that are available for emergency use.
Oh, sure, I've seen those many times. Mike, the generator that you have right now, you were telling me something about it. Is it a diesel right now, or you need to go to a diesel, or what's the issue with that?
No, the trailer mount is a diesel.
Okay.
For the new backup generator for the facility, the Public Works garage, I believe it's a diesel now, and I think it may have to go to natural gas, but I don't know for sure.
Okay. Still like the natural gas ones, even for industrial purposes. I don't know where the cost is at. It may be worth looking at and stuff yet, too. Yeah. But yeah, trustee Elzo, I've seen those too. And I've seen them on the big trailers, and they got some small ones now, too, that you can
Yeah,
get
I've
out.
made use of it, and in fact, we just had the station there renovated to add a whip to where, if need be, we could bring the GHS trailer over.
Oh, wow, okay.
Right in.
Very good. Can I get a motion then to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We'll adjourn this meeting at 8:04 PM. Students, if you need a signature on those agendas, let school know you're here. Anybody up here can sign those for you if you wish, okay? And please enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you.